Hello everyone, it's me, Marissa of Little Green Feather Crochet. I'm going to be doing a little bit of a video for you for the Be My Honey Bear Cal, so that we can kind of go over the different ways that you could highlight in a chart where you might like color them in to carry colors across a row when you're crocheting. In this video, it is implied that you would know how to read an overlay mosaic crochet chart. If you do not, I actually am going to link below in the comments a couple videos that should help you learn that. I would do a video on reading mosaic crochet charts myself. However, I feel like so many good designers have already done just really amazing YouTube videos about it. That it would really be reinventing the wheel at this point, and nobody really needs that. So with that being said, let's get started. You can choose to color in your charts either in Knit Companion or on a printed version of the pattern. A good idea is to take this pattern and when you're printing it, change it over to grayscale. Because as you can see, if you're going to be physically coloring the charts on these, then it actually is going to be a lot easier on the gray than it would on the green. As you can see here, I've flipped to the page that I plan on coloring in to show you the vast difference between the chart that is in the original coloring and the chart that is grayscale. Okay, so I've got my chart printed in grayscale, and I've also got a set of markers. I just purchased a little cheap set of markers at Target. They're not very expensive at all. And then what I used to do when I was actually learning how to carry colors is that I would color in the chart where I wanted my different colors. So in this one, I'm going to do the outline of the bear as like a dark brown. You don't actually have to color it in super carefully just because it's going to be pretty easy for you to see where the colors will go. So you just color this in. Okay, so now that we have our outline colored in, we'll go ahead and color in the middle part, which I'm going to do with a tan color to kind of match the example colors shown in the cal. Okay, so now that we have it colored in, let's go over exactly how you will figure out which rows you need to carry the colors in. One thing that may help you is to kind of highlight what color the rows should actually be to start out. If you were only using 2 colors, what would each row be? So as we can see, overlay mosaic crochet is worked in 1 color per row typically. If I were to do this in 2 colors, I would likely use a cream or white color for the rows that are white and a brown color for the rows that are the darker or outline color. So I'm going to first and foremost just highlight each of the rows with my marker to show which rows are in the brown outline color to start out with already. And as you can see, it's every other row, and on this pattern it is actually every even numbered row. See how this border stitch is a darker color here? This kind of is a note to you that this is an outline color row. Okay, so when we are choosing what colors we need to carry per row, we can kind of go along the row and see what colors are used in that row. So from here, Row 2 has only the brown color because the brown would normally be this row. Now you may be thinking to yourself, where does this ivory or white part come in? Well, as we know in overlay mosaic crochet, the ivory or white comes from the drop down double crochet that will go over that row. Okay, as we move on to row 3, we can see that this row has more than one color. When you move along the row, you see that there are white or ivory stitches, these double crochets, and some of the single crochets are actually in the tan color. So we can mark here. You have the ivory, which I'll leave a space for. I don't have an ivory marker and I don't think they really make that. So I'll leave a space for that and I'll add the tan in, okay? So now I know that row 3 has both ivory and tan. One thing that may complicate your process is how you decide to carry the colors. Some people prefer to carry this color from the middle here so that it doesn't show a different color through their drop down double. I don't actually do it that way. However, what I do is instead of changing colors on this stitch, I would change colors here so it is behind the drop down double. My personal preference is to do it that way because it doesn't show a little piece of the ivory peeking through here where the stitches kind of join together. So I wouldn't carry personally this brown color so that it doesn't peek through from behind the drop down double. What I would do instead is start this tan color or the beige in this stitch here that would be behind the drop down double. Okay. So moving forward, we can go to row 4. As we can see, again, it is just a fully brown row, unless of course, again, you want to put tan behind so that you wouldn't see it through the drop down double. Again, not my preference, but you can choose to do that if you like. So then on row 5, if we follow it along, we can see that we have the ivory color, so we'll leave the space for that. It may look like we have the dark brown, but we don't because as we can see, that is again a drop down double. And then we will want the beige color for these singles here and for these drop down doubles here. So in this row, again, we have ivory and beige. So you can kind of just mark that out, you know, figure out which color goes in each row. This one, it's pretty easy to tell. It's just basically alternating rows. So every other row is going to be either dark brown or ivory with tan. Now, it may confuse you if you don't draw some extraneous lines on the chart to show you which rows are which. So sometimes when I was starting out, I would just kind of extend the line. That way I could see, and you can even make a box for each. Okay, so I wanted to show you an alternate method for coloring your charts in case you prefer not to use a paper copy of the charts. I actually personally prefer to use Knit Companion for most things for a variety of reasons, just because it has a few little sliders that I can move around and I can make some notes and edit things. But another function that Knit Companion has that I enjoy is actually this drawing function. So if you wanted to color up your charts in Knit Companion, you could actually simply just use the marker function and color in these regions here. Then you can actually switch to a different color. and color in the remainder of your chart. It's a little easier to color, honestly, in Knit Companion. I'm always kind of just a little bit sloppy about it if I am actually coloring it in, but at this point in color carrying, I don't color in the charts anymore. I just kind of work from the picture. And of course, I am being sloppy, so looks like I missed the whole ear there. So we'll just throw that brown in again. So once you get to the point where you've got the entire chart colored in, you can actually just make your little note at the side of what colors you should be using per row. Obviously, all my dark colored rows are still going to be outline rows. And then all of my lighter colored rows are going to have both white and beige. So just get those all noted on there. And this way you can just kind of have a mental note of, at the end of the row, what color you're going to be using for the next row. You don't need to put beige on row 23, as you can see. Oh, actually, it looks like we didn't need it on row 1 either, so pardon me on that one. So you can kind of see which rows are in which color. But then, you know, we can kind of make our little notation here of where the rows are. That's a little thicker than I wanted, so let's just erase that off there. All right. So a good thing about Knit Companion is it does have a lot of tools for just editing and marking up patterns however you want to do it. So you can make a little thin line rather than my ginormous one here. Probably driving you guys crazy with these little wavy lines, but anyway, you know, just make a little note. This is not white. It's like an unnecessary spot there, so whoops. I've kind of moved away, again, like I said, from notating my charts to let myself know where the colors go, just because I'm so used to carrying colors at this point that it just becomes almost like second nature to be able to figure out where in the chart you do it. But, you know, as you're starting out, it is nice to kind of color up your charts a little, and it also helps with the placement of colors and planning where things go. So it's always nice to have that skill in your tool belt just in case you need it. And to just kind of clarify on what I had touched on earlier when I was hand coloring the paper chart, the part where I'm talking about carrying the colors along this row and how I would make this color beige instead of white right here behind this drop down double, I will make a second video to kind of clarify what I'm talking about with that. So for now, all you need to really know is that we can color in the charts, notate at the end of the line where we're going to put the colors, and then from there, we'll kind of learn where we're going to place the colors and, you know, how to switch colors in the next video. So I hope this makes sense to everyone. Please be patient with me as it is my very first video about crochet, and I appreciate all of you for being here, and I hope you have a lovely week.